David Chin was 35 years old and very rich. He owned many companies around the world. But today, he sat alone at his friend's wedding. His wheelchair was next to a small table at the back of the room. Everyone was dancing and laughing, but David felt very lonely. He had been in a wheelchair for 10 years. A car accident changed his life when he was 25. After the accident, many of his friends stopped calling. His girlfriend left him. People looked at him differently now. They saw the wheelchair first, not the man. "Excuse me," said a soft voice. David looked up and saw a beautiful woman with kind eyes. She had brown hair and wore a simple blue dress. A little girl stood next to her, holding her hand. "Yes," David said. "I'm Sarah," she smiled. "This is my daughter, Emma. We don't know anyone here. Would you like to be my date for tonight?" David was surprised. No one had asked him to dance in years. "Are you sure?" he asked. "Very sure," Sarah said. "Emma and I came alone too. We can be alone together." David smiled for the first time in months. "I would love that." Sarah sat down next to David. Emma, who was 6 years old, was not shy at all. She looked at David's wheelchair with interest. "Why do you have wheels?" Emma asked. "Emma," Sarah said quickly. "That's not polite." But David laughed. "It's okay. I had an accident, Emma. Now, I use this chair to move around. It's actually very fast. Want to see?" Emma's eyes got big. "Yes." David moved his wheelchair in a small circle. Emma clapped her hands and laughed. "That's so cool." Sarah smiled. She liked how David talked to her daughter. Most men ran away when they learned she had a child. "What do you do for work?" Sarah asked. David was quiet for a moment. Usually when he told people about his money, they changed. They became different. They wanted something from him. "I work with computers," he said. It was true, but not the whole truth. "That sounds interesting," Sarah said. "I work at a small shop. I sell flowers." They talked for hours. Sarah told him about her daughter, her dreams, her small apartment. She didn't ask about his money or his companies. She just listened and shared her own stories. When the wedding ended, David didn't want to say goodbye. "Would you like to have coffee sometime?" he asked. Sarah smiled. "I would like that very much." David and Sarah started meeting every week. Sometimes Emma came with them. David loved spending time with both of them. Emma made him laugh, and Sarah made him feel normal again. But David had a secret. He lived in a big house with many rooms. He had expensive cars he couldn't drive anymore. He had more money than Sarah could imagine. But he was afraid to tell her. What if she only liked him for his money? One day, they were walking in the park. Emma was running ahead, chasing birds. "David," Sarah said quietly, "I need to tell you something." David's heart stopped. Was she going to leave him? "I really like you," she continued, "but I'm scared. Emma's father left us when she was 2. He said being a father was too hard. I don't want to get hurt again." David took her hand. "Sarah, I care about you and Emma very much. I'm not going anywhere." "Promise?" she asked. "I promise," David said. And he meant it. 3 months later, everything changed. Sarah was watching the news at home. A reporter was talking about the richest people in the country. Suddenly, David's face appeared on the screen. "David Chun, the wheelchair-bound billionaire, just bought another company today," the reporter said. "Mr. Chun is worth over $5 billion. Sarah's mouth fell open. The man she knew as a simple computer worker was one of the richest men in the world. The next day, David came to pick her up for lunch. Sarah was quiet and sad. "What's wrong?" David asked. "I saw you on TV," Sarah said. "You lied to me." David felt sick. "Sarah, please let me explain." "You're a billionaire, David. Why didn't you tell me?" Did you think I was too stupid to understand? Did you think I would only want your money? No, David said quickly. I was afraid you would leave me because of the money. People change when they know. They want things. They become different. Sarah was quiet for a long time. I need some time to think, she said. David's heart broke. He drove home alone. For 2 weeks, Sarah didn't answer David's calls. He sent flowers to her shop every day, but she didn't call him back. David was more sad than he had been since his accident. One evening, Emma ran up to David on the street. Mr. David, she called. Why don't you visit us anymore? Mommy cries every night. Sarah came running after Emma. Emma, come back here. Mommy, why can't Mr. David come to dinner anymore? Emma asked. I miss him. Before we start, we'd love for you to watch the story carefully and, at the end, rate it from 1 to 10 in the comments. Your opinion helps us understand what kind of stories you enjoy and guides us to create even better content for you. Sarah looked at David. He looked terrible. He had dark circles under his eyes. Can we talk? David asked quietly. Sarah nodded. They went to a quiet coffee shop. David told Sarah everything. He talked about his accident, about people who left him, about women who only wanted his money. I know I should have told you, David said. But for the first time in 10 years, someone liked me just as David. Not as the rich man in the wheelchair. Just as me. Sarah listened carefully. She began to understand. I was angry because I thought you didn't trust me, Sarah said. But I understand now. You were protecting yourself. And you were protecting Emma, David said. We both have been hurt before. Sarah reached across the table and took David's hand. I don't care about your money, David. I fell in love with the man who made my daughter laugh. The man who listened to my dreams. The man who kept his promises. I love you too, David said. Both of you. David showed Sarah and Emma his real house. It was very big, but it felt empty. It needs a family, Emma said, running through the rooms. David and Sarah laughed. Emma was right. David also showed Sarah his work. He had started many companies that helped people. He gave money to hospitals and schools. He wasn't just rich, he was trying to make the world better. I want to help, Sarah said. I have ideas too. Together, they started a new program. It helped single mothers start their own businesses. Sarah used her experience with her flower shop to teach other women. 1 year later, David had a plan. He took Sarah and Emma back to the place where they first met, his friend's garden where the wedding happened. This is where I met the most important people in my life, David said. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small box. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. Sarah, David said from his wheelchair, will you marry me? Will you let me be Emma's father? Will you help me make my big empty house into a real home? Yes, Sarah cried. Yes, yes, yes. Emma jumped up and down. Are you going to be my daddy now? She asked David. If you want me to be, David said. I do. Emma said. Can I call you Daddy, David? I would love that, David said, tears in his eyes. 6 months later, David and Sarah had their own wedding. It was in the same garden where they met. This time, David was not sitting alone. He was at the front of the wedding, waiting for his bride. Sarah walked down the path in a white dress. Emma walked in front of her, throwing flower petals. When Sarah reached David, she knelt down next to his wheelchair. You're not alone anymore, she whispered. Neither are you, David whispered back. The wedding was beautiful, but the best part was Emma. When the minister asked if anyone had anything to say, Emma stood up. I want to say something, she announced. Daddy David makes my mommy happy. And he makes me happy too. He keeps his promises. I'm glad he's going to be my daddy forever. Everyone laughed and cried at the same time. 2 years later, David, Sarah, and Emma were a real family. They lived in David's big house, but it didn't feel empty anymore. It was full of love and laughter. Emma was 8 now, and she loved having a father who could race her in his wheelchair. David was still very rich, but now his money helped many people. Sarah's program for single mothers was helping women all over the country. Every evening, they sat together in their garden. Emma would tell them about school, Sarah would share news from her work, and David would talk about his companies. "Do you know what I learned?" David said one evening. "What?" Sarah asked. "Money can't buy the most important things. Love, family, friendship, these come from the heart. I was the richest man in the world, but I was also the loneliest. Now I have everything that really matters." Sarah kissed his cheek. "And I learned that real love sees the person, not the wheelchair, not the money, not the problems. Real love sees the heart." Emma looked up from her book. "And I learned that families come in all different ways. Some daddies can walk, and some use wheelchairs. Some families have lots of money, and some don't. But the best families are the ones that love each other no matter what." David and Sarah smiled. Emma was wise for such a young girl. "I love our family," Emma said. "Me too," said Sarah. "Me three," said David. As the sun went down, they sat together, complete and happy. David had learned that the richest life wasn't about money in the bank. It was about the love you shared and the people who loved you back. He had found his real treasure, not in gold or silver, but in the hearts of a mother and daughter who saw him not as a billionaire in a wheelchair, but simply as the man they loved. And they all lived happily ever after. Now that you've seen the whole story, we would really appreciate it if you rate it from 1 to 10 in the comments. Your thoughts help us improve and make sure we bring you the kind of stories you truly enjoy.